A believer must know why he was created. You have to know that. You have to know why Allah gave you provision, why Allah created you. If you ask someone the question of our topic today, لَمْ يَتْرُكْنَا هَمَلًا, why were you created? You're going to find so many different answers. Some will say, it's a wisdom only Allah knows. They put an Islamic touch to in an ignorant way. Allah, that's true, that Allah has wisdoms that we don't know in some matters, but in this matter you must know. لَمْ يَتْرُكْنَا هَمَلًا. Allah said, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَنْ يُتْرَكَ سُدًى? Does man think he will be left neglected and unattended? So that's some people who say that. Another category is like the famous poet early on in this century who said, جِئْتُ لَا أَعْلَمُ مِنْ أَيْنَ وَلَكِنِّي أَتَيْتُ. I got here, I don't know how I got here, but I got here. وَلَقَدْ أَبْصَرْتُ قُدَّامِي طَرِيقًا فَمَشَيْتُ وَسَأَبْقَى ماشيا إن شئت هذا أم أبيت. I found a path before me, so I walked. And I'll continue walking whether I like it or not. كيف جئت كيف أبصرت طريقي لست أدري. So he went on to say, how I got here, how I seen that path in front of me, I don't know, but I got here. Sheikh Kishk in the 60s, and this was popular belief among a lot of people. Sheikh Kishk in the 60s gave a khutbah on this because this was a poem, but there was a singer who made this poem famous. His name was actually the same name of the author of this book. The singer who sang that song was the same name as the author of this book. His name is Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. Sheikh Kishk told him, he was basically in his 60s, the man, the singer, late 60s. He said, you're a span away from your grave, and you're speaking and uttering words of kufr. You don't know where the worship, what you were created for. And he broke down the poem and how it has matters that are kufr. After I grew up and read, I used to think it was the singer. From listening to Kishk, I thought it was the words of the singer. But it turned out that the words were a poem from another wretched poet. He was from Lebanon. He came to this country. His name Ilya Abu Maldi. Many of you probably heard of him. He came here in 1910 or so and lived in the United States. Why I say this is because these wretched characters, even though they were popular in the 60s, they were stars in the Arabic world for millions and millions. He's a peer to the singer Kulthum, the woman who in her funeral had 4 million people follow her. Any one of you who's Arabic over here, ask your parents or your grandparents for sure, but your parents, who Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab is, the singer, and the Kulthum is. People who elevate, when it's millions, elevate in such filth and gutter to a star-like status are unworthy of honor. That's why that was the defeated, humiliated generation. The generation of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, the singer, and Kulthum, the generation they raised were met by humiliation after humiliation. In 1948, between the 50s and 60s, 1967, in 1969, in 73, between 71 and 80, read history. Then Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab raised a generation of humiliated, dishonored Hamal, who do not know the purpose, their purpose on this earth. This Imam, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab, raised a generation on al-usul al-thalatha and on tawheed, who learned the purpose of their creation and in return revived tawheed for this ummah. So many say they were created for wisdom only Allah knows. No, you have to know this wisdom too. This is kind of wisdom that you have to know. Some say they don't know where they got here and throw around kufr statements like that poet and singer we said. Some of them say Allah created us for worship, which is the correct answer, but their understanding is superficial. They're not deep and substantive in what worship is. And that's basically the topic of our tawheed. All that relates to why we were created. Some adopt the devilish thinking of some Greek philosophers who say that Allah created the universe and forgot. And that's why there was so many problems among the people on earth, because Allah forgot about us. Ma'adallah. Astaghfirullah. All that Allah responded to it before centuries before they even uttered it. وَمَا كَانَ رَبُّكَ نَسِيًّا. Your Lord is not forgetful. He doesn't forget. And then you got other people who say the universe is the fun and play of Allah. Astaghfirullah. Likewise, Allah responded to him, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. You think we created you in play without any purpose, and that you're not going to come back to us to be judged and held accounted for for your previous life? Then you got a group who will say, and many think, that life is, you live your life and then you die and it's over and done with. If this was true, then death would be the goal of nearly every living being. But death is the start. Then there's the grave. Then there's resurrection. Then there's reckoning. Then there's the scale. Then there's the sirat. Then there's eternal hell and heaven. زعم الذين كفروا أن لن يبعثوا قل بلى وربي لتبعثن ثم لتنبؤن بما عملتم وذلك على الله يسير. The disbelievers claim that they will never be resurrected. Tell them, Muhammad, Allah says, tell them, قل بلى وربي لتبعثن. You will certainly be resurrected. And then you will be told and informed of that which you did. The point is that one must know he was created for a purpose. You got to know that you were created for a purpose. لم يتركنا هملا. Which is, in reality, this life is a test to see who fails and who wins. Allah called it a test. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Whichever, Allah says, Allah wants you to prove to your action through this test who is righteous and who is not. This life is not a mall or a supermarket that closes at 9 o'clock and then it's over and done with one's death. لَمْ يَتْرُكْنَا هَمَلًا وَنَضَعُ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطَ لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ فَلَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَإِنْ كَانَ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدَلٍ أَتَيْنَا بِهَا وَكَفَى بِنَا حَاسِبِينَ. We shall set up the balance. Allah is going to set up a real balance, a real scale, the scale of justice on the day of resurrection. And no one will be dealt with unjustly. وَإِنْ كَانَ مِثْقَالَ حَبَّةٍ مِّنْ خَرْدَلٍ أَتَيْنَا بِهَا وَكَفَى بِنَا حَاسِبِينَ. If it's a tiny weight of mustard seed or even less than that, Allah will bring it. And He is the sufficient to take account of what you did in the previous life. وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا. It's the day when one says, what's going on here? What is it that's going on here? وَكُلَّ إِنسَانٍ أَلْزَمْنَاهُ طَائِرَهُ فِي عُنُقِهِ وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا اقْرَأْ كِتَابَكَ كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمَ عَلَيْكَ حَسِيبًا. We fasten for every man's deeds to his necks. On the day of resurrection, they will be brought up. We shall bring up for him all that deeds in the book, and it will be presented. اقرأ كتابك. Read. وكل صغير وكبير مستطر. Everything small and big is written down. وأن ليس للإنسان إلا ما سعى. He created us to follow His guidance. لم يتركنا هملا. The verses on this are numerous and numerous. A man went to Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. He said, Abu Abdurrahman. Or he said Ibn Umar. Abu Abdurrahman was his kunya. Ibn Umar is attributing him to his father. Did you hear anything from the Prophet ﷺ in najwa, in private, that you want to share? هل سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في النجوى? Did you hear him anything in private you could share with me? Ibn Umar said, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم say, the believer will be brought near his Lord. And Allah covers him with a screen and tells him and asks him, and he confesses. سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول يدنى المؤمن من ربه حتى يضع عليه كنفه فيقرره بذنوبه. Allah will ask him, do you know you did this? Did you know that sin? You go over the sins. تعرف ذنب كذا? He will say twice, يا رب أعرف. Oh Allah, I know. يقول ربي أعرف. I know, Ya Allah. He confesses his sin. There's no way out of it. فيقول سترتها في الدنيا وأغفرها لك اليوم ثم تطوى صحيفة حسناته. I concealed it in the world before and I'm going to forgive it to you today. then his record, his registry of deeds falls up. وأما الآخرون أو الكفار فينادى على رؤوس الأشهاد هؤلاء الذين كذبوا على ربهم. The others, the disbelievers, it will be announced publicly before all the people. Those are the ones who lied and disbelieved in their Lord. الترمذي عدي بن حاتم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما منكم من رجل إلا سيكلمه ربه يوم القيامة وليس بينه وبينه ترجمان فينظر أيمن منه فلا يرى شيئا إلا شيئا قدمه ثم ينظر أشأم is left من فلا يرى إلا شيئا قدمه ثم ينظر تلقاء وجهه فتستقبله النار. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من استطاع منكم أن يتقي النار ولو بشق تمرة فليفعل. There will be none amongst you except that Allah will speak to him with no interpreter, with no barrier. You're going to go stand before Allah. Imagine that reality. Standing before Allah. Wallahi al-Azim is going to happen. Focus as it's going to happen and imagine it as it's going to happen. He's standing before Allah. He looks to his right. He sees nothing but his deeds. Then he looks to his left. ثُمَّ يَنْظُرُ أَشْأَمَ مِنْ means he looks to his left. And then he sees nothing but his sins. Wallahi, it's a scenery that tears the hearts. Then he looks in front of him. His deeds to his right, his sins to his left. He looks in front of him. He sees hell. There's no escaping it. Good and bad, there's no escaping it. Wretched and successful, all are headed to that direction. To the direction of hell. Where are they going? They're going to the direction of hell. Righteous are going over it, and the wicked are going in it. Nas'alullah najah. But over it, and not in it. Then there are those who go over it, but get clawed in it. And then there are those who go at the speeds, the various speeds that we know in the famous hadith about that. The hadith says that everyone looks in front of him and sees hell. Then it continues, save yourself. That's your purpose. Save yourself from hell. Even by giving a portion of a day in charity, so you can present it to Allah on the judgment day that you give that. Save yourself from hell, even if given that tiny little thing. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. You were created and you need Allah. Don't ever think Allah created us to have more creation. Don't ever think that Allah created us because He needs our support. He created us and He is Al-Ghani. He is independent of His creation. In the authentic Hadith al-Qudsi, in Sahih Muslim, O my servants, you can't reach me to harm. You can't reach me to harm me. Nor can you reach me to benefit me. يا عبادي إنكم لن تبلغوا ضري فتضروني ولن تبلغوا نفعي فتنفعوني. يا عبادي لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم كانوا على أتقى قلب رجل واحد منكم ما زاد ذلك في ملكي شيئا. O my servants, if from the first to the last of you, every one of you, human and jinn, nobody left out, were as pious as the most pious man you can think of. If you were as pious as him, that's not going to increase my kingdom. That's Allah telling you that. Your piety will not increase Allah's kingdom. You're not doing Allah a favor by doing deeds. يا عبادي لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم كانوا على أفجر قلب رجل واحد منكم ما نقص ذلك من ملكي شيئا. Oh my servants, if your first and your last and your human and your jinn, every one of you, were as wicked as the most wicked man, human, or jinn on the face of the earth that you can imagine, that would not decrease the kingdom, my kingdom. Allah is speaking to you because this is a Hadith Qudsi. My kingdom any tiny little bit. يا عبادي لو أن أولكم وآخركم وإنسكم وجنكم قاموا في صعيد واحد فسألوني فأعطيت كل واحد مسألته ما نقص ذلك من ملكي شيئا إلا كما ينقص المخيط إذا أدخل البحر. O my servants, where the first of you and the last of you get together, and all of you, you're human, you're jinn, every last one of you, in one place, and request of me everything they wanted, and I gave every one of them that which he requested, it would not decrease my kingdom, my wealth that Allah has, the kingdom of Allah, any less than a needle decreases when you put it in the sea. Go to the Atlantic Ocean, put a needle or a string in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, then take it out. How much less did the Atlantic Ocean become? That's the Atlantic Ocean. Allah runs and rules and owns the universe. Ya ibadi innama hiya a'malukum. أحصيها لكم. Look at that. This is the conclusion. يا عبادي إنما هي أعمالكم أحصيها لكم ثم أوفيكم إياه فمن وجد خيرا فليحمد الله ومن وجد غير ذلك فلا يلومن إلا نفسه. Oh my servants, here is the conclusion. It is only your deeds that I reckon up for you. I gather and collect and add them up for you, registers them for you for the day of recompense, so you can be judged by them. Whoever finds good, let him praise Allah. And whoever finds other than that, let him not blame but himself. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. Among the meaning of the verse, don't cause mischief on this earth after it has been set in order. Meaning the entire earth was created for worship. The purpose of the universe was for worship. Whoever does not do worship has caused mischief. That's the meaning of the verse. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَنْ يُتْرَكَ سُدًى. Does man really think he will be left neglected? This whole universe, your creation, your lifespan, you really think you're going to live 15, 16, 70 years or whatever you may live, what Allah grants you, and then it's over and done with? أَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَى. After Allah talks about the human and how he's a drop of sperm and then a clot, and then Allah says, أَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَى يُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. The one who does that and created you from emitted sperm and then a clot, he can't resurrect you to question you again. So we established that we have a purpose in this life, a goal to attain, to be saved from hell. That's what we got to work on, to be saved from hell and to attain the highest level of heaven.